Welcome to International Love Story, the podcast about intercultural relationships. My name is Christina, and in today's episode, I'm going to welcome Brune, she's from France, and Mahmood, he's from Yemen again. I had the honor to talk to them for quite a while, so this is why I decided to cut this podcast episode into pieces. If you didn't listen to the first part, go back to the previous podcast episode or the previous video, depending on where you're watching or listening right now, to listen to how they got to know each other and why they basically decided to meet up for the first time in Oman. In this episode, we're going to talk about what happened next. So we ended the previous podcast episode with a little cliffhanger in a situation that was, let's say, a little bit awkward for the both of them because they didn't know if they'd be able to get married in Oman as originally planned, as the Sheik had some doubts due to that Brune is not Muslim. Today, you're going to learn a little bit more about Brune and Mahmood, about all the hurdles they had to take afterwards and how they actually managed to close the distance. Obviously, in this podcast episode as well, they're going to share their advice. So please stick until the end. It's very, very, very valuable advice, as they're going to point out that an intercultural relationship is not made for everyone. And enjoy today's podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Your partner is leaving, and then what do? You're alone.
There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong opinion.
My last message would be, really don't underestimate culture shock. It comes in many different shapes and sizes. And really, I think having a community like this one, for example, is so important. To listen to other people's stories, to see what they're going through, because you're not alone, and whatever you are going through, maybe someone else is also going through.
And he called us and told us, okay, we do it. Come at my place, but you need to buy a sweet, Omani sweet, because we eat sweets after the wedding. After celebrating So we went to buy the sweets, and then on the way to his place, he called again and said, I'm not sure I'm gonna do it because she's not Muslim and she's not from here.
He started adopting him.
Yeah, and he started adopting. So we went there. I was super stressed. We were only 2 days in Oman, so, I'm not used to that culture at all. He said hello, but after that, nothing to me. Only Arabic with Mahmoud, and it was really like I was wearing long clothes, I was wearing the veil, I was like so not used to all of this, and sitting in a couch like very straight, and they were both sitting on the other side of the room with their legs crossed, but like on the couch, very comfortable and talking to each other in Arabic. And I didn't know anything that was going on. So like the last info I had was he was not sure to marry us. And then it lasted 2 hours.
Because he tried to be respectful. He for culture difference, because in Arabs they don't try to not to talk to someone else woman or things like that. So he's tried to be respectful. He just took her out of the picture. He didn't talk to her at all. He didn't talk at her.
This was in general, this was something super hard to me.
Yeah.
Like people to be respectful, just don't look at me and don't talk to me, especially when he's in the room. So this is a little hard to get used to.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what we are used to, definitely. Yeah.
No, they spoke together in Arabic for 2 hours. I was seeing the Sheikh calling people, asking questions. I could hear that he was talking about Yemeni and French, and so he was talking about us, probably asking for what to do.
He also was asking for the witnesses, because his witnesses were also in random schedule, so they were late too.
Like, but I didn't know anything about that. Only thing, like, sometimes he was turning to me and telling me, will you read Quran? I was like, yes, sure. Okay. Then he stopped talking. Then after some time, he told me, okay, call your father. No, I need to ask your father if you can marry this man. Because for women, you need to have your father's approval. Like for women, you are under your father's responsibility until you are under your husband's responsibility.
She's in like hours, hot shower.
So, like, really calling my dad. He was literally in the stairs. And I was like, can you please talk to him? And the guy was like his face, like he had super scary face. And he was, asking a question. And then even if you answered, he continues to stare for a while. Like he was, will you read Quran? I say yes. And he's like, mm-hmm. And continues to stare for 5 seconds, and you don't know if you need to add anything, if you fail the test, the random test that just happened. So he called my dad, asked him, do you know this man showing Mahmoud's face? And my dad started trying English to answer. I told him, no, please say everything in French. I'll do the translation to be sure I know what he said. Then after these 2 hours, the sheikh left the room. And Mahmoud was looking at me like, are you okay? I was like, what is happening? Are we getting married or not? Why is he leaving the room? I hear people coming. Okay, who are they? They are the witnesses. We're getting married. Everything's fine. I'm like, I said, oh my gosh.
Like one of these 2 hours.
When we left there, he was super happy to be married. I was just super happy to be out of there.
But you got married right away, I understood. Like the witnesses were there. He gave his approval. He made sure that basically his gut feeling he had to approve, because the reason why you had to go through all this, as I understood, was because you, Brune, you're not Muslim. And that was the reason why you had this 2-hour conversation.
Because Gulf countries are super strict with nationality.
Actually, it is just only Oman.
Nationality.
Yeah.
Like, they're super strict with nationality. You can live there your whole life. You can be born there and you won't get the nationality. And for Oman, some other ones, I think Qatar has the same problem.
Yeah.
But if you are Omani, you're not allowed to marry outside of Omani citizen. So we heard that it is not exactly in the law, but it is in what they do.
Just by the law, like there, they don't give you waivers to stay. I'm Omani. They don't let me marry anyone for now.
Like if you are Omani and you want to marry a woman that is not Omani, you need to prove, like, either you're old, either you have disability, either you prove that, like, you got married before and it didn't work, but this one it will work. Like, you need to prove everything why you don't want to marry someone Omani. So I think the sheikh was just worried about that. Like, he did it eventually because none of us was Omani. But I think if Mahmoud was Omani, he would never have done it. But he did it, and he didn't want to leave anything. He didn't give us, like, the certificate that they usually get after. Like, we didn't sign a paper with him. He just did that, like, oral agreement.
Yeah, we'll take, like, the Islamic part of it.
Yeah. But then you're gonna get certificate after.
Like, this is usually for the legal one. Because, like, for us in Yemen, we do both at the same time.
Mm-hmm. No, anyway, so we didn't have any proof of this. So we just did, like, it was what he needed, like, for his faith and culture. Like, this has been done. We felt really after that. For the rest, like, we had, like, his family after that could approve anything. Like, we were married. And it is, like, the good thing about Islamic marriage, it is that it is not as strict as the Christian marriage. Like, Christian, divorce is hard in Christianity, but in Islam, no. Like if you want to divorce, you can do it way more easily than for Christians.
We're talking about divorce, and I mean, like but you got married? No, how is that part?
No,
Skip a little part.
No, I mean just like his family was okay with us being together after we are married, even though they were. I think at this point, his mom was not 100% sure that it was the right thing to do, but she knew that she could still get him a divorce if she wanted something else after.
Got it. Okay.
Like whatever was happening between us was okay in front of God because we were married. But if we needed to get a divorce and he needed for something else, it was okay.
What my family, like, I think they were like about that because
No,
they were asking me, "Are you sure you don't play with emotions? It is
yeah,
really
yeah,
pain."
yeah. For me, at this moment,
Yeah.
it was more about But
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
it's like if we were to divorce, they would have been okay with that. Like,
Yeah.
not as long as we were married for the thing, and then if something happens,
Yeah.
yeah. So at this moment, this was like I think after that we could really enjoy our time without any pressure and do as we felt. And the country was conservative from the outside, like can't hug and kiss outside and everything. But apart from that, like we were free.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's like in public you can't do anything. Like you respect your traditions, you respect the religion, the culture.
yeah. I wouldn't want to do it anyway because I was getting on up the stairs already.
Yeah, I understand. But but the whole wedding ceremony, was it like quite quick, or how did that go?
Yeah, like the witnesses said, they told me, "So you want to marry this man?" I said yes. Then Mahmoud was repeating the sentences with the chef, like holding his hand
Yeah.
and repeating sentences. I was focusing on the Arabic, thinking, okay, I need to repeat that. But then they finished and they turned to me and they told me Mabruk, which means congratulations. And I was like, when is my part? And Mahmoud said, yeah, the witnesses asked you, do you want to marry him? It was your part. You said yes. Now your dad said yes before. It's just all you had to do.
Yeah, because like in our religion, like usually like the chef goes to the house and there is like the groom and the father. They like they're gonna stay in like different room. They don't meet before that. So they do like the ceremony, like which is like the chef does, like saying his words and the witnesses, usually 2 witnesses, and after that they just get married and they can get to know each other after that moment. After they approve that.
So it's
So-
quite forward.
Yeah, it's like they need the father.
So it's been really fast from the moment the witnesses were there. Maybe it was 5 minutes, the wedding thing. Then we ate the sweets with them and drank coffee with them, or because traditionally after, and we went home, or we went to buy food to go home. Like it was,
Yeah.
that was it.
Did you get all the papers right away? The marriage certificate and all this? Well, I mean, I guess
Like this wedding meant
It was like
only religious, because as I said, the chef didn't even made us sign anything. And in France, actually, you can't get married religiously before you get married legally.
so we have
Not allowed.
we didn't want to get that for that
Yeah.
having that papers. Like we could just like ask for paper, like if we tried with someone else or, but we didn't want to try because it could be a problem for us.
Here, yes, but like, it was like we had these 3 weeks together. This religious wedding was mostly just for like for his culture and like to lift the pressure off. And so when I came back to France, I thought since COVID, they started doing marriage visa. And so let's try to get him a marriage visa. But I was in contact with an initiative that was helping me with the paperwork and everything. And they told me right away, and this marriage visa is actually a tourist visa with the purpose of marriage. So this is not working. And you need to prove a lot of things to prove that you will really get married. Like you need to organize a wedding to prove that it will happen for the embassy to approve that. And so I was like, we need to plan a wedding. You need to even buy the dress and invitations and everything. And you don't know if the groom can make it because you don't know if they will approve the visa or not. It's really like, really the embassy is in charge of saying yes or no, but it's kind of like we know how it is going for paperwork when it is especially they have foreign countries, like some of them are easier than others. Yemen is definitely not the easiest one. So it was out of options for us to make him come. So I said, okay, let's go move to Oman because he had to go to Yemen in between. Like he had to go back. We just had 3 weeks in Oman and he had to go back.
Yeah, I had to cross the desert again twice after that time.
Which was really, from what I know, harder than going to Oman. Like he knew where he was going to meet me and going back to Yemen was hard.
Yeah, and like just going back to zero.
Yeah.
So I told him, okay, now I'll move to Oman with you. We stay in Oman until we find a solution for you and me to come back to France together. So we had two options. Either we ask for France to approve a wedding, a marriage. So we need to provide all the papers from him and me. And they approve the marriage and we need to get married in Oman under their law. And then to bring back this to the French embassy and get, thanks to the first approval, for them to acknowledge our marriage in the French law.
Yes.
But it takes 3 months, around 3 months.
Which year are we talking about, by the way?
That was last year, like 2022. Yeah, we've met 2022 in February 1st in Oman. And then we moved to Oman in July 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I basically finished the school year that I was working. I said bye to everyone. I left my apartment and my cat here. And I traveled to Oman to meet him again. So our second meeting was moving in together in another country.
Yeah, we kind of closed the distance.
But it was only to figure it out and to get all the papers in order for you guys to live in France. Okay.
Yeah, because none of us had even a working visa in Oman.
Yes,
but it took a lot of time to get it.
Yeah,
but for me, it was just a tourism visa. Because I tried to get hired in schools, but it didn't work out. So I went with the tourism visa and thought we'll figure it out. So either there was this solution that was supposed to take us 3 months, either the initiative that was working with us told me there is like maybe a possibility because there is a law that says that few countries are not allowing French citizens to get married, not properly, but like the conditions to get married in these countries for French citizens who are not easy or like. So in this short list of countries, you can get married with a foreign citizen in a French embassy. So Oman was in the list. So they told us, okay, now you need to contact directly the embassy and ask them to marry you according to this law. Of course, it was July. So in July, no one answered anything because they're like French administration. July, August, no one's here to answer. So we spent we spent July and August waiting for them. Mahmoud doing his paperwork because it took him like almost 3 months to get a proper visa. Yeah, and then in September, my lawyer, like from the initiative, sent another email to the embassy to ask them the same thing. To which they answered that it is possible to get married in the embassy, but it is not preferable. Like, it is not the best thing to do.
Okay, they said we need to prove or like why we need to do that. I mean, that sounds.
Prove it, and also they said that it could be rejected by Oman or Yemen because it's done in an embassy. It could be like they said, it could be problematic for us in the future because maybe some countries would not recognize our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So they said you'd rather do it in French. So my lawyer answered to them saying, good, give them a visa to go back to France to do it. All of this, we moved together in July, and finally maybe in October.
Yeah, they didn't answer us because like we were talking directly to them, like they were answering only the lawyer.
Only the lawyer, and once a month.
Yeah, like every 3 weeks or 2 weeks.
So in October, finally they told us you need to go back to France. Like no, they didn't see it like that. They said if you want a visa, you need to ask for a marriage visa. We won't give you just like that for free. So you need to ask for a marriage visa. So you need to do the paperwork for a marriage, which means you need to do it in a city hall in France.
And
So I was like, so I have to go back to France to do this. And they didn't leave us any choice. They said, if you don't do it, then you need a really good reason to get married. You need really to prove that you cannot go back to France, which was not the case. They said like the economical situation was not enough because we told them like basically we don't want to leave each other and it is expensive to take a ticket back and to come back, and they said it is not enough. So I had to go back to France, not knowing if I was coming back to Oman or when.
But thankfully something happened, which is her plane got delayed the first time. So, and the KLM, they give her a refund 500 euros.
Like
it was delayed for hours.
Yeah, my plane got delayed by the company, so I missed the connection. So thanks to that, they gave me a refund.
So she could come back.
So I could pay the plane tickets to come back afterwards. But before coming back to Oman, so I went to France to the city hall to give them my papers, like his papers, my papers. Like I had to get them translated. Really, I landed in France. I went to the city to make the translation of his documents and everything, so I can go straight away to the city hall, give them the file, and go back. But when I went to the city hall, they told me we don't take the file without your partner. You need to
but he was not allowed to enter because he didn't have the visa. And really, that was why you were there, to get him the grant in order to get. That doesn't make sense at all. What does that make sense?
And like basically, it was the city hall, like my parents' village, so they didn't know much about it. They didn't have to face any similar situation before, so they didn't want to do that. So I said, okay, I'll just ask someone to say I'm staying in their place in the city where they know how it works. But this means I need to wait at least for a month, so I can say I stayed there for a month. Otherwise, I'm not considered living there. So I'm not. They can't take my file in this city hall. So I had to wait for a month here, and then I went there, and they were like, "No, your name is not on this and this and this paper. You need to have your name with this address on this kind of papers, blah blah blah." So we need to wait another month. And still the first teacher didn't want to take my file. Like eventually they took it because like I don't know the name in French, but like the like a judge, let's say a judge. It's not exactly that, but the judge had told them first, no, they need to be there both to take the file, which is not true in the law. It is not written that, but probably we thought like maybe someone answered. It was not exactly the judge, but maybe like the secretary or someone answering fast. And after that, they couldn't say, "Oh, we made a mistake," because it is like high rank. So then they told us, "Okay, we make an exception for you. You can come give your file on." Finally.
After 3 months.
After 2 months, I waited 2 months before they took it. So finally, they took this. And I said, okay, I go back right away to Oman. So we asked for the visa in Oman. I don't stay in France and wait for him to ask him. Because I thought, like, if I need to deal with the French embassy, I'd rather be there to deal with them than with him. And because all this time he stayed alone in Oman. For these 3 months that I was back in France and struggling, he was struggling alone in Oman. Yeah, because we had no one there.
Yeah, but I was working a lot, sales overwhelmed with work.
And I found a job just when I left. So
That was good, yeah. But you, Brune, may I ask, that's one of my questions that's going through my head since a while already, because you were saying that once COVID hit, once you got to know each other and all this, at that time you weren't working, but you managed to fly to the Oman and then somehow to get back to France, and then you took care of all the papers. So all this time you were living from your savings, may I ask?
No, like,
Or how did
when
you manage?
during COVID time, I was just not working because it was quarantine, but I was hired in a school at that time. So we were quarantined for 2 months. Then I started working again in 2020. I mean, so 2020 we met in March. I still had 1 month quarantine. Then I started working. When we took our 3 weeks together in Oman, I had 2 weeks holidays because the school is 2 weeks off in February. So I just asked for 1 week more to stay a little bit more there. So it was okay. Then when I finished working in June 2022 and moved to Oman. For this time in Oman, I couldn't work. So we were on my savings.
You were on your salary.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had salary in the summer because because when you work in the school, since you have 2 months off in the summer, they just give you balance the salaries of the year, so you get the same amount in the summer. So you get less salary every month, but you get the same amount in the summer.
Okay.
So I had that, but which was not that much. And then when I went back to France for the 3 months, I saw that it was gonna last right away because they say no very quickly. So after like 1 week or 2 in France, I just found a job in a bakery to sell in the bakery, just to have some savings coming back, because all the time I was in Oman, I was not able to work.
Yeah, so that was also something that put a lot of pressure on you, no?
Yeah.
Like not knowing where the future in general, also professional wise, is going to take you, but you were able to adapt to whatever was thrown into your way. You were like, okay, I have to make that work, and if that means just working in a bakery, this is what it is. It's not my profession. It's not what I've learned. At least I'll survive and be able to keep on from here.
Yeah, even when we were in Oman, I was trying small contracts for small translations online, or small things. Like, it was really short things that were like 50 euros, or, some things they ask for French speaker or German speaker or whatever to record some sentences for AI. Like small things to just because I was relying on my savings a lot, which was... Yeah, I managed with the savings for some time. I think I had...
Yeah, we managed that even like with the work that they got us.
Yeah, but when we finally reached France, it was like...
We were all like...
Finally, because I think we didn't have survived 3 months more. Like, it was starting to be really hard.
So the visa was issued. They were like, yeah, okay, because it's you, because of your situation. Like, I wouldn't make a mistake here.
Like, yeah, this was just the situation saying, okay, because it is you. Then we got super lucky for one thing. I don't know if it helped really. I think the fact that we did all of that may have been enough. So the embassy gave him the visa, but also we got really lucky because when we went to the Yemeni embassy, we've met someone working there, like deputy head of mission. So like just after the ambassador. He spent some time in France. He was working in the Yemeni embassy in France. So he was happy to meet French citizen and told us, okay, if you need something, I can contact the French ambassador to tell him about your situation since I met you. So I think maybe he gave a word to the ambassador after we came back with all the paperwork and everything. Or maybe not because we also had the lawyer. I don't know exactly what happened, but we got this visa.
He helped us out with the paperwork. And like,
he gave us a letter from the Yemeni embassy for the French embassy.
And Jabrok, the marriage, Jabrok.
Saying that it would be recognized in Yemen. Like the Yemeni embassy recognized
I have no objection for that.
So finally we got the visa and everything ready right away. We stayed like 3 weeks in Oman. It was another hectic time. Yeah. We got a lot of trouble in the last 3 weeks. Like I think we lost 1,000 euros in the last 3 weeks.
Maybe more.
Because
just crazy times.
Like super crazy. Imagine like because of my tourist visa, I was not allowed to spend more than 30 days on the Omani territory. So every month we go all the way to the Emirati border to get a stamp on the visa. Like I exit the Oman, get the stamp and come back, which a lot of people are doing there. So once a month we do that. And this time, so the last time we had to do it, maybe 2 weeks before we travel.
Yeah.
So Mahmoud couldn't travel because with the Yemeni visa, Yemeni passport, he cannot go to Emirates. So he had to wait for me in the cafe. So I go to my stamps, I come back, pick him up in the cafe, and we go back. I picked him up, and we said we'll drive like 10 minutes and have something to eat on the way. So usually he drives, but this time I said I'll drive the 10 minutes and you drive after we eat. In these 10 minutes on the highway, so driving 120, a goat jumped on the car.
She was driving like 120 and she didn't stop. Like she just like continued driving and she didn't.
There was a car on both sides. There was a car behind, so I couldn't do anything. I saw the goat. I was like, I had this half second to think, should I I don't know, like, should I stop? Should I do anything? No, I can't. There are people everywhere around. It was like the goat or us at this point. So I just saw it happening. I saw like I have no other option. So we had this happening, and then the same week, like the car was under someone else's name because
I also like I had to fix the car because we want to sell it and it costed like.
Yeah, we wanted to sell because when we arrived in Oman, we wanted a car right away because this you can't do anything without a car. Public transportation is not really a thing. So, but to buy a car, you need an Oman, not citizenship, but at least residency. And none of us had that, so we asked someone to do it for us, which is not really legal, but there was no harm done at this point. But his name was still on the papers when we were about to leave. So we wanted to sell the car, but he started like blackmailing us because his name was there.
Yeah, he made it like hard. He wanted to buy the car, but he wanted to buy it for less. Like
half the price.
Yeah, he wanted it was way less than the value of the car. So I said no way. And
like
then
we had 2 weeks before moving. We had a lot of things to do, obviously, and he was like, "Give me the car tomorrow for half the price, or I go to the police saying you stole it." Or
like he was doing like some things like that. But we like if he did it is like bad for him. So
Yeah.
I kept insisting for him like that nothing will happen, and he wants to see the car. And he at that moment, like he knew like if he doesn't have the car, like and I leave and I give it someone, it is risk on her on him because like the car is with his name. Like if something happened, they'll catch him. He'll be the one who's responsible. Because like there is no any connection between us other than the car.
Yeah.
So he just like give up, and when I was like in Amsterdam, he just like changed the name to
Well, just when we're in the plane, he finally gave up. But for this last 2 weeks, we had the goat, and also I rescued 2 cats from the streets that we were traveling with. But the initiative there was an initiative. It is so hard there for animals, especially stray animals, that when they find people traveling with them, they pay for the plane tickets. Like they raise funds and everything. So they helped us a lot with these cats. So they said, okay, but since you're traveling, can you take animals with you under your name? And then someone picks them up at the airport and bring them to whomever they will belong to. So it was also a lot in the airport because of that, because we had our 2 animals with us in the cabin, the plane, and there were 4 other ones surrounding in the cargo. And so because of that, in the airport, they made struggle and they made us pay extra 200 euros. And like, so all of this, when we really landed in France, was like,
Yeah. So much money, so much stress, so much paperwork.
Yeah, giving us like,
we just rested like for the whole next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like we were just like chilling out.
it was like, yeah, we landed on a Tuesday, I think.
Yeah.
And we got married on the Saturday at the city hall. We thought, okay, no one will be there because it is so fast. And we had just like really few persons coming, but it was like at this point the sooner the better. Like we just want these favors to be done, and we celebrated then in May. But in March, when we landed, it was
Just telling a little.
the end of this.
So you got married after all, legally married in May.
Legally married in March and celebrating with everyone in May.
Ah, okay, in May this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
2023.
And that was also the first time your family, Brune, obviously met Mahmood in real life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and how was it?
They were excited. I think my parents were really excited from the beginning of this. Like, a lot of people are telling me it's just crazy how your family did that. How did they let you travel and do all of this without stopping you? But I don't know. I think they liked the story. My mom liked the Romeo and Juliet style. She was following the episodes.
Like her family is very nice. They are very welcoming. Yeah.
Yeah, my sister was happy too.
Yeah.
She said that also after, like, it is easy to talk with Mahmoud then. Like, yeah, so she told me it felt natural too. Like,
Yeah.
like no one had anything to say. Like, I think everyone was happy about it.
I mean, they
Yeah.
know what you've been through beforehand and what type of experiences you had made for, like, yeah, I mean, it's a miracle that you managed it somehow and
Yeah.
are able to celebrate again.
I think at this point they all know that I wouldn't take any negative comment. Like, I'm pretty vocal about it. Even for our wedding in May, we had a website for guests to answer, and all. I wrote something about saying that I won't allow anyone to discuss about immigration or anything, or cultural or religious differences or anything, because I know most of my friends wouldn't do it, but I know some people sometimes in the family, you always have like
Yeah.
you always have like this racist uncle at your table. So I was like, if anyone says anything, just they are not welcome anymore.
Yeah.
At this point, after all of this, I won't take any of this.
You had a nice celebration. I mean, I saw some videos, some snippets on Instagram. And yeah, now you are living in France. You Mahmoud, you got your visa and everything. This is all in order. You've mentioned beforehand that at the moment you're not allowed to work in France. Is that right?
Yeah, just doing paperwork, like maybe few months, maybe a couple of months, no?
Yeah, we need to live together 6 months after being married.
Legal marriage.
Legally married. So it was March, so it will be middle of September. From middle of September, we can ask for an appointment to do the paperwork. So like,
I wouldn't we asked for the appointment, but we still see what's going to happen next.
yeah. So then step by step, like I think as I said now, I will finish my contract, and I don't think I'll start working until this appointment, because I think once he gets his papers in order, we can both see where he will work and what he will do. It is not that easy, like I don't know.
And in this, we have to move back to the city, because now we're living in the village. Maybe in the city will be way easier when it will.
Yeah, he would travel easy. Like even if he doesn't find work right away, he'll be more independent than here, depending on the cars. And I am working with one car. Like
Yeah, here it's like a bit far from everything.
yeah,
Are you learning French at the moment as well, or and
Yeah.
how do you navigate through France speaking English? Is it okay? Because I remember when Nacho moved to, because we used to live in a very small village as well in the north of Germany, and when Nacho moved to Germany with just speaking a little bit of German, like a few phrases, it was very, very, very difficult for him to adjust because of the language. And no one was speaking English in that area where we lived.
Yeah, I'm like trying to speak with people. Like I know how to like to get what I want, but no more. Like I can't have long conversations. I just know few words.
Fortunately, my friends are speaking English, so when we go out with my friends, it is okay. But my family, not much, and in this area.
Yeah, but I manage, like if I want to go to the supermarket, I can ask for what I need. I can like I can a little bit, like not much.
Okay, so you're learning French little by little. Obviously, living there makes it a little bit easier because you hear it on a regular basis as well.
Yeah. Now I understand more. Like I understand a lot. Like I can understand when they're speaking around me. I can understand what they're talking about.
May I ask another question? Because your profession is the IT area.
Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, the language most probably will be English. At least this is how it is in Nacho's case. He has not a similar background, but he's working in advertising, where the main language is English. The company he's working for right now is a German company, but they communicate in English because they hire people from all over the world, basically. And almost none of them speaks German, which is very interesting. And I guess you will have the same, or you might make the same experience, right? Because of the field where you're from, it might be quite easy once you have all the papers in order to find a job, no?
Yeah, it could be, it is a possibility. Yeah, especially in IT, like most of the work done is like with English. Like maybe few things will need French, but I think I learned by then.
He's like for now, as long as he can't work, he's working on studying French and even more IT to get certificates for online certificates and everything to try to
Very much.
improve and have something to show to add to his CV and everything like.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's what you're working on at the moment. So you, Brune, you basically wait what's going to happen, in which direction it's going to go, and you will adjust to wherever Mahmoud will find a job eventually. But the goal is to move to a bigger place, to a bigger city.
We're staying with my parents right now. So we want to go back to our apartment in the city. And for me, I don't know, because I pretty much started working the same field that I was working before, and I think now I need something new, but still don't know what. So I'm also waiting for this time off to think about it.
Yeah.
And also, I like to write a lot, so I was working on a novel that I started a long time ago, and we were thinking of why not writing something about our story at this point. So we want to see where it is going next. If I can take some time for these projects, why not? Could be also very interesting too.
Yeah. What I really, really like, and this is what I got throughout the whole conversation we are having, we're talking since quite a while already, is that you take it one step at a time. And even though if there are some hurdles that have been thrown into your direction, and not like, I'm not talking about little hurdles where like, okay, I'm gonna manage it, but like big chunks of pieces that were like big, huge stones thrown into your direction. And you were like, okay, we're gonna deal with that now, and then we see where this is going to lead. And okay, I'm gonna move to the Oman, and like we'll see. Eventually, we will find ourselves and
we had like like direction.
I used to be like so control freak on so many things, to be obsessed with, okay, what is coming next week. I think now I also need sometimes off to get back on my feet on planning, because I think I got really after all of these last 2 years specifically, like every time we made a plan, it didn't work out. So
we had to make a plan every week.
Yeah, but honestly, I do think, Nat and I, we are married since a while already. We know each other since more than 7 years. Like more than 8 years, being in a relationship that more than 7 years. And it's the same with us. We don't know where we'll end up. We are always making new plans. Eventually they're not working out, or something else is crossing our minds. And we plan for, let's say, 6 months, maybe 12 months at the moment. But we know that something might happen and we have to change everything. Like eventually we have to move again, or especially I'm talking like a little bit on a private level right now, but especially on the situation we're in at the moment with Nacho's family, it might be that our priorities in future time might shift, and then we have to work on another plan. And this is like, I know I'm an absolute control freak as well. I'm typical German when it comes to I need a plan, and I love to plan in detail as well. But I've learned to drop that as well the past few years, because after all, it doesn't make sense. I can't plan in detail. Like I can try, but that would just be a waste of time, to be honest. And after all, what's the most important is, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, you have to be happy. You have to be fulfilled. You have to have a full heart, and that's what's the most important thing, in my opinion, in life. And that's what you should work on. And if that means, like, I don't know, living in Spain, or living in our case in Argentina, or living in Germany, or living in South Africa, I don't know. Like at least you're doing what makes you happy. And professional wise, for me, for example, I don't know where all this is going to lead me. I'm also struggling a lot with several things. I did a lot in the past. I'm adjusting to new circumstances all the time. But in the end, I don't need so much to live off. And that what counts. And I've learned to, no matter where, you will adapt eventually.
That's true.
So plan is always a good thing to have, but it's not exactly the thing to go for.
Yeah.
I think the plan is helping, like especially with the long distance, and when like a plan is helping to focus on one thing. But
Yeah, it is making us work. Like if without plan, it's just like random.
yeah, we need like a direction to go to, but indeed, like you need to adapt. Like I think this kind of long distance, you need to adapt constantly, and it's maybe especially when the other one's culture is not as planned as ours. Like as really like French or German culture, I think we are like so organized, and the appointments and the things are really time scheduled. Like for them, it took me time to adapt to that, to Oman in general. When you think, okay, tomorrow I'll meet someone, but no, not at all. They planned something else in the between. Like so,
Yeah,
Even
especially.
like plans in for our culture, like you have plans and your parents want something, so they don't care about your agenda. Like they just force you to do it what you want or take you somewhere else.
Yeah, I understand that it takes some time as well to adjust to that, the cultural differences, the religion backgrounds, different religion backgrounds you have as well. But to summarize, like all of the topics we've been talking about, it was quite intense. It was quite a lot. So what is your biggest learning
in terms of this type of relationships? For me, it's just like that it is really hard to go through. So I think like you need to be sure what you're doing, if it's worth it, like if it's gonna work, and if it's gonna fulfill you enough. Because I think like if you feel like your mental health will not be strong enough for this fight, just don't do it. I mean, I agree with you, like love will find its way, but I think it is so hard. You'd better also protect yourself. But for us, I think like we've learned how to find resources when it felt hopeless.
Yeah, we stayed strong, like in some desperate times.
Yeah, and we've met people, like we've found people on the way, which like whatever friends or initiative to help us with paperwork. So like it is not easy to find, because you feel like it is always unique situation. Like even when you find initiatives working with the French and foreigners, but they don't know about Yemen. If you find something working with Yemen, but they don't know about this type of wedding or marriage because different religion, like, so you need to just try some different things and regroup everything to figure out how to grow and to stay connected to each other, like keep a very good communication. Otherwise,
definitely,
it's not gonna work out.
Yeah, and your future plans, I mean, we've kind of talked about that. Gonna keep on moving from there. Your work is a big part of your lives at the moment.
Yes, it is, like especially the September. So when you see for September is a big part. Then I think we just want to get something together, but
we'll try to settle a little bit.
And build like your home, and things about maybe business or maybe importing some things from Yemen, like coffee.
We can try, like, but see what will happen next. Because for now, we like spend like 2 years, we're not settled in one thing. Like we're just moving from one place to another. We're traveling. We're doing paperwork. Like we haven't like set our head on something.
But your family, Mahmoud, they're happy for you, I guess. So for them, it's okay that you're living in France right now, far away from home.
Yeah, they're super supportive.
Okay.
They're so happy with us. They are contacting Brune all the time. They are chatting with her. They're like, my mom doesn't understand English or French, but she's trying to speak with me. And
sometimes just she only speaks Arabic, so she sends me text. If I am with him, he helps me to translate what I want. Otherwise, like if I'm at work or something, she's like, "Hello, how are you? I'm good, and you? Okay, what are you doing today? I'm cooking. I'm working. Okay, have a good day. God bless you." And that's it. But that.
So both of your families are very, very, very supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it helped.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it helped a lot that we didn't have to fight also inside our families while we were fighting other battles to meet.
We were like scared about telling our families.
But
it went so smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, after all, if you think about it, like, when did the first time you start chatting was in 2020.
Yes.
And we have 2023. It's just 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in that period of time, you've been through situations most of couples will never face and will never have to deal with. And I mean, you survived all this. I mean, I think it's obvious that whoever knows you and whoever is close to you will just be 100,000% supportive, especially right now, because you found your way and you're very serious with it, you know?
Yeah, and you know, especially as you were saying, like we went through so much in the 3 years. And now it feels like weird to just sit together, you know, somewhere and to have nothing that big to achieve. So it feels like I think why we need some time to readjust and find the new goals to move on, because we are still in some in between phase. So we are. I'm excited for the next step, but we still don't exactly know what will be the next step. So we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it will come over time. I mean, as mentioned before, step by step, little by little. I'm very happy that you managed to close the distance, that you managed all the big and small hurdles that were pushed into your direction. I really enjoyed this conversation, and
it was nice
to bring it to an end. You've shared so much, as mentioned before. One biggest advice you would like to give? I mean, Brune, you've mentioned it before already. Like, if you're not mentally stable, you should not pull through that. And love finds its way, but you have to be mentally prepared for that as well. Is there anything else you would like to share for everyone who's listening or for everyone who's watching at the moment?
Yeah, they need to be patient. Like they are not there. Like it's really hard. They need a lot of patience.
And maybe for so apart from NDR, but for multicultural or international relationships, I would say like or as always, the communication is helping a lot. Trying to understand your partner's point of view on things, because we never had fights about beliefs, but we have arguments sometimes because our cultures are so different, and I think now it is easier to see each other's point of view, because I've lived in Oman, he's living in France now.
Yeah, we understand more. Yeah.
But I think from living it, you understand even more. But from explaining to each other, really, like maybe everything you can express about why you feel how you feel. And I think, as you talked about it before, also sometimes we do things because it is just like that in our cultures, but you can also readjust from what you're doing because
it's accept what happening from the other culture and you have to accept who they are.
Yeah, accept it and not thinking that your way to do it is better just because it is your way to do it.
Yeah, that definitely you have to find the middle ground and adjust and change your mindset specific direction depending on what topic it is about. I mean, that doesn't change the fact that in the end, your culture and where you're coming from, your family situation is, this is part of who you are, obviously, but you have to understand, as you just said, where the other person is coming from and what made this person to who this person is nowadays. And that's also one of the reasons why you love him or her, you know. And there's a reason for this. So if you're not able to adjust and to let some beliefs go, it will be very, 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 very difficult to make this work. Because
I think it made me acknowledge a lot of my French culture just by confronting it to another one. So wow, I'm doing all of these. They are not natural things for other people. Like, it's super interesting because it is like a way to redefine who you are. Also,
definitely
keeping what matters for you for everything you've learned.
Definitely, yeah. So thank you so much for talking to me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I hope we stay in contact.
Sure, Albert.
For your next chapter. I hope you liked today's podcast episode. As always, if you like what I'm doing, as you know, there's a lot of work involved in here. In everything I'm doing, I do it with a lot of love as well. Please rate this podcast episode wherever you're listening to it. Subscribe on YouTube. Give the video a like on YouTube. Leave a comment if you have any questions. And if you would like to share your love story as well, use the form in the side notes of the podcast episode or the description of the YouTube video. I'm so looking forward to sit down with you someday and having a little conversation. And thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful morning. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful afternoon, wherever you're listening to or wherever you're watching from. Bye!